Okay, I'm ready.
Eric, I'm so excited that you're here with me on the Untold Secrets of Living Overseas podcast. And for those of you who are tuning in, normally I interview people, and Eric from Enfuego Entertainment from LA was like, I want to hear about your Nepal and your India trip and also this whole digital nomad thing. He's like, let me interview you for your podcast. So I'm like, yay, because nobody really does that. Like normally
Right.
on podcasts, we're like interviewing
Yeah,
other people. So thank you
that's
for
right.
asking me to do
Oh,
this.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. All right, so let's get to this. I want to find out everything that's going on with you. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
all
first,
right. So,
you tell us more. I think most people know that I help people move abroad at moveoverseasnow.com.
right.
So they kind of know about that. But tell everybody about what you do also at Enfuego Entertainment, just so they kind of have an understanding too of how
See, look
awesome.
at her. She's interviewing me again. See, she's back to interviewing me. So there you
Yeah.
go again. You're turning the tables again. Okay. Okay. So anyway, all right. Here's the deal. I have a production company called Fuego Entertainment. We do everything from web series to podcasts to interviews, like I'm doing today. And we've been around for 12 years. We had a pretty good following on YouTube, and we've done some really culturally stimulating projects, and we have a lot coming pretty soon. So if you really want to see some good stuff, go to enfuegoentertainment.com. You can find us on YouTube as well. And me and my wife, we have fantastic relationship, and we really pour all we have into these projects. So yeah, so thank you for the plug.
You're welcome. And I'll put your guys link because hijab, right? Hijab.
Yeah, hijab.
Hijab is really wow. I loved that pilot. That was so cool.
Oh, thank
Is
you. That was
it
a good
still
project.
online for people to watch if they want a new show?
You
Um,
can watch it for
out?
free.
Okay,
You can
cool.
watch it for free, or you can watch it on Amazon Prime, whatever you choose.
Okay, so I'll put it in the description of the podcast and the YouTube for everybody.
Thank you.
Cool.
Appreciate it. All right, girl.
Awesome.
All right, girl.
Questions.
All right, here it comes, girl. All right. All right. So let's get started. So okay, I have to ask you this. So what initially like inspired you to embark on this trip to India? Really, honestly, I gotta
Okay.
know.
Well, you obviously know I have the web design agency and the living abroad coaching business, which is moveoverseasnow.com. And Dan, so I used to live in Spain for the
Mm-hmm.
last, well, for 5 years, I lived in Spain. Then in
Mm-hmm.
2021, my dad died. So I had to come back to the US and take care of that. And we
Mm-hmm.
were in the US, Dan, my husband, and I, we got married in the US. And we've been kind of stuck in the US for the past 2, 3 years, which has never happened in the past like 7 years. I've always really loved to be able to go and leave the country, but because we were getting Dan, my husband's green card, we had to stay in the US while that whole process was happening. So right when he got his green card, and he's a DJ, so he does electronic music.
Okay.
Dan he really likes this type of music called psytrance, and it's actually from Goa, India. So
Oh,
we're
come on. Oh,
yeah,
wow. That's awesome.
we are here in Goa, India, GOA, India. It's the paradise, it's the tropical paradise. It's kind of like people call it the Las Vegas of India. Like all the Indians come here for the weekend or for holiday weekends or for holidays to come eat at the nice restaurants, stay at the nice hotels, party, all that kind of stuff. So we came here because one of the best producers and DJs in minimal techno, as well as, so he has two names, this DJ, and psytrance. So his psytrance name is, I think it's Brain Drop, and his
Mm-hmm.
minimal techno name is Sinister. And he's a
Mm-hmm.
producer and he has a music label here. So actually, Dan is learning underneath him. And
Oh.
a fraction of what it would cost in the US. So many things are so cheap abroad. If we're not even talking, if nobody cares about music, studying abroad is so much cheaper than in the US.
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
for a master's in Barcelona, I paid like, I think it was 2,000 to 3,000 for my master, and that gave me a residence permit for the whole year. So I
Oh
mean,
my God.
you
It's
could
amazing.
never do that in America. So
Never.
same thing,
Never.
if we wanted to go to the same type of school in LA, he would have paid like 15 to 20 times the price.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
That's
15
crazy.
to 20
That's
grand.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yes.
did you guys plan? So did you plan this ahead? Like how long did it take you to plan this? I mean, what went into the planning of this trip?
Well, it's hard when somebody, if your partner or yeah, if you don't have a remote job, it makes this kind of stuff really hard unless you know that when you get to the country, you're going to start networking and you already have a cushion, like you have savings. But since I work online, I can go anywhere. Dan, because he's a DJ and he is like on the ground, he did have some other jobs in LA. So he just had to give his notice. And we basically planned this in 1 month's notice. So when we got his green card, yeah.
Wow.
When we
That's
got his
crazy.
green card, we said, okay, he really wants to do this. He paid his deposit for the course, for the school. And in a month, we found somebody, actually in 2 weeks, we found somebody to sublease our apartment in LA. So $2,000 rent. We found it literally through manifestation, because I always, and whatever you want to achieve, like all the goals, I always put it out there and it literally happened. And I
I
found,
believe that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we
That's
only
awesome.
planned this with 2 weeks to 1 month. And I actually did this as a challenge for my clients and to my audience to show them you can plan your move abroad in less than a month. Is it recommended? No.
No.
It was very,
Right. No,
really
I hear you. I hear
stressful.
you.
We purposely did it like this because we wanted to be back for his cousin's wedding in Spain. So we didn't just come to India. We did Spain, Morocco, Germany. We were supposed to do Turkey, and Dan had some passport problems. And then we came to India. We've done Nepal. Yeah. So it's been a cool journey.
Okay. So check it out. So did you so when you got there, was it, I mean, what was your feelings when you first initially got there, when you got to Goa?
That's it. Goa.
Goa, yeah.
Goa is, by the way, it used to be a Portuguese colony. So there's a
Okay.
lot of Christianity here. There's lots of churches. All the names of the towns are in Portuguese. So it's really
Oh,
interesting. They have a big footprint from Portugal. Yeah. So
oh wow, I didn't know
the
that.
houses are very colorful. If you go to the capital, which is Panaji or Panjim, it's the same name. It's really beautiful with all the colors, and it looks very Portuguese. So it's really interesting.
Okay.
First, okay, got off the plane. It was raining. It's monsoon. So when you come to when you come to Southeast Asia or this Asia, there are monsoons. So there is
Okay.
a wet season and a dry season. And we are
Okay.
unfortunately here during the wet season.
Oh, okay.
Through October is monsoon.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it makes
Okay.
it so that the things that you're able to do, like you are inside a lot. It does get a little depressing. So my first, but first take, wow, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so poor. The only other place I maybe been to that was similar was maybe like Mexico or Peru. Cuba was coming up in my mind from like just, you got people on the side of the road with these metal shacks and then like plastic, like tarp material, and they're selling fruit and their coconuts. And it's like, that's their job. And I was just like big culture shock. And then obviously all the people that try to freak you out about, oh, all the diseases and everything. Like I kept my mask on in the taxi, but it's like, look, the hepatitis A, the hepatitis B, the tetanus, all these shots that they want you to have like second, third doses of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are the chances that you're really going to get that? And so there was a little bit of fear about like, oh my gosh, like, where are we going to eat? Like the restaurants, we want to make sure that they're clean. We, knock on wood, have not had
Yeah.
any
The
problems.
water, the water. What about the
Yeah,
water? The
like the
water.
water,
There was fear about the water. Right.
hear about the
Right.
water, like, oh my God, if
Yeah.
you're washing the vegetables, but if they cook everything. So
Right.
I guess I just came in with a lot of fear. And I think that's normal when you like come to a country that's not like yours. And there was a lot of fear. I was a little like, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? It was very remote because you're in a big city when you fly in. And normally when you go to the places you're staying, it's beautiful. There's coconut trees. It's very like wild. There's rice paddies everywhere. There's cows walking around, cow poop everywhere. You step in it maybe once a week. There's stray dogs all around. So it was just like, whoa, where am I? And then also just like I felt very remote because we were driving into these smaller villages, which it's just really green, lots of lush jungle. I mean, it's jungle. It's like they call it
Mm-hmm.
jungle. They also call it forest.
Oh,
Funny, like
wow.
rainforest.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, that was kind of my first impression. Like a little bit of being scared, very hot, very humid.
Mm-hmm. But I know that you're a fan of Indian food, so you probably really enjoyed the food, correct?
Oh yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
When we first got there, because I'm vegan, we went, there's these places and they're pure veg. So they don't call it like it'll say vegetarian if you ask, but they're like pure veg, pure veg. That's what they say. On the restaurant like sign, it'll
Okay.
say that.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
we found one right next to our apartment that we're staying at, Airbnb, $700 a month. We get a cleaning service. They change our sheets. They're the most amazing ladies. They wash our clothes every day.
Oh wow.
Haven't done the dishes in 3 months. They do the dishes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They clean
Wow.
everything. They refill our soap and our um shampoo and our body wash. I mean, it's awesome. And if we're not here
Wow.
to let them in, they have a key and they come in. We tell them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awesome. We're
Okay.
spoiled. We're very spoiled right now. So
That's
affordable
good.
too.
You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve
So
it.
affordable.
That's right. So I saw in some pictures you were riding around on a scooter. There was a lot of scooter stuff going on, right? I noticed that, right?
Yeah.
So have you ridden on a scooter before through a town like this? I mean, have you
Yeah.
ever done anything like that?
Yes. So in Spain, Dan and I, there's an app you can get. It's called Cooltra, Cooltra. You can just
Uh-huh.
rent and hire Vespas and these like scooters.
Oh,
These
okay.
we're talking gas scooters um that could go on the highway and everything. Okay, so India, especially Goa, it's everybody's renting them. They're calling them scooties here. Scooty with a Y. You want a
That's
scooty?
cool.
You want a scooty?
You want a scooty?
Scooty for rent here. So it's super cheap. If you're a foreigner, they'll try to charge you a lot. Like they'll try to
Mhm.
charge you 200 US dollars, which is like
Okay.
20,000 rupees. But we always get a deal. We found a guy literally across the street right here. 400 rupees a day. So that's about
Wow.
$5 a day to rent a scooter. So if you do that for the whole month, that's five times. Wait. What is that? 5 times 30 is what? 5 times 3.
5
150,
times 30, 115. Yeah. Yeah.
$150 a month if you want to rent a scooter. But we did it one day to test it out. It's very bumpy. The roads here, they have like potholes. So
Oh,
I hope I know this intro to Goa maybe sounds like it's scary, but
no, no.
I want to tell everybody how easy it is to live here. Like renting that scooter, he asked for our WhatsApp number. He asked us to send him maybe just like a picture of our license,
Mm.
like California license, and that was it. Like no contract.
Wow. Oh, come on.
It's full trust here. These people
Wow.
are super kind, super nice. We literally are like, you're gonna just let us go off with your scooter? We haven't signed anything. Like, yeah,
Yeah. So, wow.
crazy.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
insane.
So
That's
it was
great though.
awesome. It's very adrenaline rush, like adventure feeling when you're like riding around and like the wind's going through your hair, you're like videotaping. But then after that, it kind of
Yeah.
hurt my neck because I have a herniated disc. So I was
Okay.
like, I don't think every day
Yeah.
you do this. So we found a contact of a guy who had a car for rent.
Okay.
Really
Okay.
nice, automatic. That's
How'd you find that guy? How'd you find that guy? Like if
that's
people want to
the
know,
thing.
how do you find guys like that?
How
Like,
do you find all these people? Well, my
yeah.
Airbnb host, when I
Uh,
arrived, by the way, this is the best service I've ever had. This landlord slash Airbnb host, she checks in every day. She wants to make sure we're comfortable. She went out of town. She bought us sweets and brought them to our door. I mean,
oh wow.
like really different level
Oh man.
service. If
Wow.
it's a problem or if we need more water, oh, they also get us the big jugs of water and she brings it to our door. Um, so anyways, her name is Sanika. And Sanika, when you check in, she gives you this big long text on WhatsApp of all of her recommendations. Money exchange, go to this guy. It's not actual like bank. This is like individual people that are offering services. That's how India
Wow.
works. Kind of like Mexico. Like you got that guy that does the kayak tours, and you got that guy, he'll exchange your money for you and it'll be cheaper than like going to the banks or whatever. Like she's got
Okay.
that whole list. So
Okay.
that's what really helped in the beginning. But then we made our own contacts when we went and ate at the Indian restaurant. We started trying to learn Hindi and learning the numbers. And we were like, do you have a taxi guy? Because you everybody how it works here, you don't just like rate like New York, you put up your hand and the taxi
Right. Right.
isn't like a
Right.
really big city. The Goa is a state that's made up of all of these very small villages. So
Okay.
and they're not that many people living there. Like and then it will have its like central like place. Like we're in the center of this place. There's a Domino's, there's a supermarket, there's the stores where you can get your sim. Like they've got everything, but it's not like this huge place. So we went to that waiter and we were like, do you know of somebody that's a taxi guy? So we could have them on call if we ever need something, like if you drink or whatever. So he gave us a contact. That guy wasn't available. And so we got his brother. And
Oh, I
this
see.
guy is awesome. He's actually a policeman.
Oh
So
wow.
like, if you guys ever get in trouble with the police, just call me. Like
Oh wow.
if
That's
you get if you get
great.
pulled over for speeding or
Yeah.
whatever, and they try to because here they want to get paid, you can pay them off. Like literally,
Okay.
you pay them like 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees, and you don't have like an actual ticket. So it's like $5.
Okay.
He's like,
Okay.
you guys ever have problems, just ring me.
Wow. So
Yeah,
did you
look up.
did- so when you're talking about services, all these services, and I have to ask you, so is everything there like cash based? Is everything there card? How's that work?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Well, these guys that are like, okay, so our expenses, I'll tell you, $200 for the car. It's through
hmm
this guy. So we just pay him cash, 20,000 rupees,
okay. Okay.
20,000 rupees a month, which is about $200.
Okay.
The sim guy, he's right here, cash as well. Because like people have card machines, but not
Okay.
individual people. Like if it's an actual business,
Right.
a restaurant, um, like those types of places, the airport, like they're gonna have card machines. But
Okay.
a lot of these services we're talking about, like yeah, the gym as well. Like I always pay cash. It's just like you kind of get
Huh.
the vibe once you live here of like the
Okay.
types of places that would take card and which wouldn't, and you just ask. And if they don't
Okay.
take card, you just pull out cash. And that's what I
So
use
you
the Charles Schwab card.
so
That
you gotta have a fair amount of cash on you if you're traveling where you're going. You got to kind of be prepared and know, okay, I got to have some cash on me. to know that I'm going to be able to get services, right? Correct?
Yeah, but
Right. I
you
mean, you got to
pull it
have.
out at the ATM like every other
Okay.
day, or
Okay. Okay.
Dan and I pull out maybe 10,000 a week, which is
Okay.
$100 a week. And like with that, we're eating at restaurants for every meal. We are paying for things. Like in some weeks, it's obviously more than that because
Right.
our
Right.
expense, and the SIM card is about 12. I think it's like $10 a month. And that's for like a lot of data. So we have a local India number, and we just use that for data and stuff while we're
Okay.
around the towns.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
you
cool.
always just have a little bit of cash, like
Okay.
$50 on you, but
Okay.
5,000 rupees, like it sounds like a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It's like, damn.
That's
Let me pull out 5,000 rupees, man. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah,
so
but
today we
that's
bought
cool.
like this shirt I'm wearing was like 400 rupees, which is like $5.
It's cute.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
cute.
you.
All right. So you're in town. You're getting in with the culture. You're riding around on scooters. You're getting services. Your room's getting clean. Your dishes are getting washed. You're eating great food, and then you decide to travel somewhere else to see a man that we all respect and love, Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a fan of the Dalai Lama, just so you know. Dalai Lama, if you're listening, I'm a fan. Um, and I want you to tell me that whole experience, start from A and go all the way to Z, because that is something that I am just like, oh, I can't believe you went and saw him live. That's
So
amazing. In India.
I know it was crazy. I think everybody should do it. It's really amazing. And actually, now that you're asking this question, I have my notes from when I went to go see the Dalai Lama, what I wrote down. So here it is.
Oh, perfect.
Dalai Lama,
Perfect.
Dalai Lama teaching. Okay, so if you guys go to the Dalai Lama website, I think it's like His Holiness DalaiLama.org. I'm not sure, but if you just type it in on Google, and then there's a tab at the top that says schedule. If you click his schedule, he obviously does tours around like
Right.
America and different
Right.
countries, but he's old
Correct.
now. So he's kind of staying in like one place more or less. And he's a refugee from Tibet who India, I think this is so remarkable. India is like the only country that allowed him and 70,000 refugees to leave Tibet, and they welcomed them. None of the other
Right.
countries allowed a king of a kingdom of a country to move to their country. Like I think
Right.
that's
Right.
so awesome. So, anyways,
Yeah. That
go
says
to
something.
the website, go to schedule, and then you can see all of the public talks. So they call them public talks.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was September 5th and 6th, 2 days, from 8 in the morning till 9:30 in Dharamsala, which is where he lives. That's where he moved right after he came out of Tibet. Him and the 70,000 refugees, they settled in Dharamshala. So Dharamshala is in the Himalayas, northwest in India, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's all like Tibetans. So obviously there's a mix.
Oh.
It's such a beautiful mixture because there's Buddhists, which the Tibetans are Buddhist. That's where Buddhism
Mm-hmm.
like started.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Hindus. So, but they all love and respect each other, and it's amazing. And they're all living together, welcoming the refugees. All the refugees now speak Hindi. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
so interesting, this culture over there. And the reason why I wanted to go is because you can't, I was just like really having a hard time because we were in Goa for like a month and a half, and just kind of staying in one place, knowing you're in a huge country that has so much culture. I was like, I need to get the F out. So I booked it. Well, I said, first of all, I'm going to see the Dalai Lama. I had a couple options because obviously I have to work.
Right.
So I was
Right.
like, do I do a yoga teacher training? Those are like 10 days, but then I wouldn't be able to see anything. Like I would just be in the training. Do I go do a Vipassana meditation, which they have them all over India, and that's 10 days, and that's silent meditation. No phone.
Mm,
You leave your
mm,
phone in the office. You have no
mm,
connection with, you're not supposed to communicate with any humans, even through
mm,
eye contact. It's a really hardcore like meditation series, which I'm sure you guys have all heard it, Vipassana. That's really
mhm.
big now in the West, but it started here. I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
do that as well, which I'm gonna do at some point, but I really want to see India. So that was how I chose um, to see the Dalai Lama, because he gives these public talks. But there's not much information online, and this is the part that's really frustrating. Is you try to like look up like, oh, well, can I go? Like I'm just a normal person. Like, do I
Mhm,
have to be Buddhist? Uh, is there a registration online? Do I just show up? So I chatted what I did, and I love to do this, is I go on Airbnb.
mhm.
I look up where his so it's his temple, like his the Dalai Lama temple is there. It's in a town called McLeodganj, which is in
Okay.
Dharamsala, which is
Okay.
called the City of Heaven. That's what
Okay.
it stands for. And
Beautiful. It's
it
beautiful.
really is like that because it's in the mountains. The Himalayas are behind it. It's all these green, huge rolling hills slash mountains. And
Mm,
Buddhism is just thriving there. And it's really cool to see all the spirituality and the yoga, the everything. So what was I saying? I
So you
completely
got an Airbnb. So you got an Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Okay. I always, because there's no information online telling you how to register for these talks. Does it cost? Is there room? Like, I'm gonna buy this flight to get to this place, which you fly on one of those like smaller planes. That's like,
Okay.
I think they seat like 50 to 60. You know, the Alaska Airlines ones where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
got two
Yeah.
people on one side and two on the
Right.
other.
Right. Right.
It's one of those, and it's a very small airport. So there's like
Okay.
airlines that fly in, and there's like a couple flights a day. So you had to do that. And I talked to the Airbnb people before I booked the Airbnbs and said, and before I bought my flights, I said, hey, I'm planning on coming to Dalai Lama talks. Do you,
Hmm.
if I stay with you, like, do you know, will I be able to go and like what the process is? They all responded to me like pretty lengthy explanation of how to do it. I got the confirmation. I felt good enough with the answer they gave me that everybody's invited, everybody's welcome.
Oh, okay.
Sign
Okay.
up the day before the talk in the town. So you have to physically be there and you have to go to the Dalai Lama temple to sign up. So I found all of
I
that.
like that. I like that idea. That's great because they know you're going to come because they know if you show up and sign up in person, you're going to be there. You're act because some people sign up and they go and they get flaky and they don't show up. So that's a great. I like that
The thing
idea.
is
That's
they're
great.
not charging money. They charge 10 rupees. That's 10
Okay.
cents.
Okay.
It's for
Okay.
security. It's for security purposes. They don't,
Okay.
you have to do like all these things like the day before. So when I got there, it's at
Hmm.
7,000 feet where he lives.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of altitude and I was like a little bit sick. So it was quite an adjustment. And then traveling all day and like having delays from Delhi. But I stayed in this beautiful like cliff hanging apartment. It was
Hmm.
quite pricey for India. Like I paid $35-40 a night,
Hmm. Okay.
which is
Okay.
expensive, quote unquote. Is I had the bomb ass Airbnb. It was hanging off of a cliff, and I had a 360 view of all the Himalayas.
Oh wow.
And it was
Oh
like
wow.
quiet. You heard you didn't hear the toot toot like horns and the motos and the scooties like in the main part of the town, which I wanted to stay there too because there's more happening. But this part,
Hmm.
I just got a taxi driver's number and he would pick me up to take me to the Dalai Lama talks. So
Oh, that's great.
you have to get there at 5 in the morning to the Dalai Lama talks.
Wow.
And
And
you
how
can,
long do you have to wait for him to talk? Come out and talk. How long do you have to
I
wait?
mean, you want to get there early. So you make sure you get in, make sure you get a
Hmm.
seat. The day before,
Okay.
they let you set up your cushion. So we had to buy a meditation cushion. you had to buy a radio, an FM radio. You're not allowed to bring your phone in there. So you buy an FM radio and you tune it to your language.
Okay.
So that's how you listen to what he's saying, because he's speaking in Tibetan. It's just
Right.
really cool experience because all these people from all walks of life are coming into his temple. Literally, his house is right there, and they bring him in on his little cool car with security and everything, and he gets out of his car, and he's just like starting his whole thing of like the love and compassion, looking at everybody, exchanging that energy. And we were seeing this, not like we were up in the temple while he got out of his car arriving, and we're watching it on the televisions because there's cameras everywhere so that everybody can have a view of him, and just seeing how he interacts with the crowd, like looking at everybody, you could tell he truly loved and cared about everybody. Like I've never seen any leader do that. The way he does, the way he just is, just that energy, he's literally just sending it to everybody.
Right. He's connecting with people, everyone.
Connecting through the eye gaze, and you could tell that there was immense amount of love. It took him 30 minutes to get up to his little shrine where he
Wow.
Because he's old, but he also takes time to look around
and take it all in. Yeah.
Because he knows
How close were you? I
got like 4 feet away from him.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. He walked right past me because I had a one seat outside of the temple that was directly in front of him. I would say like 300 feet in front of him, behind him. But I made myself so I was directly in front of him. I could see his eyes. And when it was about 20 minutes before it ended, I moved towards where he exits, because he always is going to walk in through one way and he exits, takes this elevator on the other way. So he's going like a circle when he walks in. So in the Buddhism, they walk in a clockwise fashion around buildings and monuments and temples. So he exited that way. So I ran over there, just plopped down and sat next to her.
Yeah.
She let me sit next to her. So I got kind of 2 different views each day.
Oh, that's great.
Amazing. Yeah.
So was there any specific moments during his talk that you kind of that resonated with you? I mean, anything?
Yeah. It's just so nice to hear like a leader, like somebody who's I mean, he's a king. So think about this. He's like a president, prime minister, whatever people want to call it. What king of a country is like teaching people about this stuff? So he talked about, and I have the notes here. He talked about good-heartedness, having a Buddha essence. He also prefaced, like, we know there's a lot of people here that aren't Buddhist, and it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to have a good life, I'm just sharing with you what we've seen work in terms of just the ways of being that humans can be to have the best life possible. So he was like, have a Buddha essence. So like, what was the Buddha like? Can we just try to be like the Buddha at all times? So you could just imagine, like, what was a Buddha like? And the same thing with like Jesus, like, how was he?
Right. Same.
He was a good person. Right. He was loving. He was caring. So that's what he said. Getting rid of self-cherishing attitudes. When we cherish ourselves too much, that is actually where our pain comes from, because it's like attachment to yourself. So when you keep attaching to like, I'm not the best and I'm this, or all your flaws, or it's just you, and you're not thinking about anybody else. And he's saying, when you focus everything on everybody else, you start looking outward and want to help people or get engaged with the community, all your problems go away, because now you're connection, community. So he talked about that. He talked about illusions. Things exist in another way that you think. And that's what Buddhism is all about. So your experience of what you're experiencing is actually an illusion. Like there's a whole other perspective on that view. Like, oh, this thing happened to you. Okay, you got fired, you got laid off from your job. Some people could go into a depression for 6 months. That in itself, that view is an illusion, because there's a whole nother view, which is, oh, this is like, this was supposed to happen, and now I can
Right.
and do something else. So he talked about like meditate on that everything is an illusion. The things that you, the way that you think they exist, they actually don't exist that way. And then he talked about, hold on, compassion. Think about your mom, think about mothers. Like there's a huge amount of compassion. You were born from the womb of a mother. He kept talking about that. Think about the love and affection that you got from your mother. That's the love and affection we should be giving to all other humans at all times.
That's right. That's
So
right.
he talks about that. Affection with love and compassion. What does it say here? When you, he also says that at some point, when you care so much about others, the suffering of others becomes unbearable for you to handle. Like that sometimes he has gotten to those points where he wants to help everybody, and that like their suffering has gotten unbearable. And that's where his meditations on the view of emptiness
Right.
are so important, which is
Right.
emptiness is you trying to remove yourself from like, I don't, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like the attachment thing, like getting to a place where yourself is stop saying me, 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 me. It's just like quiet. And
Right.
it's kind of, I don't really understand it 100%, because it's, I've done some meditations on emptiness. It's really like you figuring out, like getting rid of the I from everything. How can I get
Correct.
rid of the I? This like thing inside of you that thinks like, I want all the attention, me, blah, blah, blah. But this is dangerous for me. This is this. Oh my God, I'm scared of this. Like, how can you remove that chatter? So that's what I guess is emptiness.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Sorry.
then I don't know if you want me to keep going, but these are like some of
No,
the,
but I think those are very important things that he teaches in all his teachings. He's very good at trying to get you off of self and have you reflect on others. That's his main
right.
goal.
And it was so cool. We had tea with him. So all the monks come out. So the monks of this, I mean, it's a monastery, like his temple has a whole bunch of
Yeah.
monks, because there's a school there, there's everything. And these monks are so cute. They come out with these metal huge canteens. We
Yeah.
got food and we got tea every day. So they bring you cup and they bring you buttermilk tea, which I can't drink because I'm vegan, and
Yeah, could be vegan. Yeah.
I didn't like the smell, but
Okay.
they love it over there.
Okay.
It's so cute. The Dalai Lama is sitting in his shrine, and we all are just having tea with him. He's like, when he said in Tibetan, he's like, let us have tea. And he's like, just so chill. And he's like, people in the front row, have you gotten tea yet? Like, in the whole room, we're just laughing. We're like, we're just
That's great.
here having tea with him. And
With
he's
the Dalai Lama. That's
yes,
great.
and they
Oh
all
my
hand
God.
out bread. Like the monks
Okay.
are throwing the bread out. Like everybody's kind of like helping. You could tell everybody was really helping each other. They handed you like 10 donuts stacked on top of each other, and we were like passing it with our hands back. You know, because it's all about helping others, and you could see like
Right. You
crowd.
didn't get all paranoid about where you were and all that. Yeah,
Like
forget
nobody
it.
was
Yeah,
concerned about getting their donut. Like everybody was passing it first,
yeah,
and like when you were
yeah,
missing one, you raised your hand and somebody got it for you. Like people around you noticed that you didn't have one, and they got it,
yeah,
the person and the monk,
yeah.
they gave it to you. So we had the
Oh,
donut, and so the Dalai Lama was shoving bread and donuts in his mouth. And I mean, it was a good like minute, 2 minutes of we were just snacking, like we were all just eating. It was kind of quiet. He was just,
were you sitting? Were you sitting next to anyone that spoke English that you were able to hang out with and talk with?
I
Or
made a friend. I've made a friend
okay,
he's in, who is really cool guy from the UK.
okay,
And he's
okay.
really getting into Buddhism and meditation. He did a retreat there. This place is super spiritual because the Dalai Lama lives there. So all these centers have popped up. So people that want to go do a meditation retreat or Vipassana, which is the 10-day silent, you should go to this place. It's called Mikloe Ganj. And the one that he went to was in Dharamkot, which is just right up the road. And it's called Tushita Meditation Center. Tushita, like Tushita. It's probably the most well-known meditation center. And they have room and board. They give you food every day. And it's quite inexpensive. Like way better than doing something in the US, because this is like you're learning under the masters, the people that have meditation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So anyways, I had that person to my right was this old monk lady, nun. She was so cute. She was like probably 80, 83. And every day, because it was 2 days, you could tell there were two. It was the daughter and the mom, Tibetan nuns. And I helped her sit down, like, cause she had a cane and she was like hunchback. So that was kind of cool. And we would just interact like smiling and just gestures, because you don't understand them. It was so cool that all these different walks of life were just sitting next to each other.
Wow, that's great. Was it the majority of was it more men? Was it like in terms of was it male dominated in terms of how was there more men there, more women there? Could you talk a little bit about that? Like how was that?
Equal. It was pretty equal.
Okay. Okay.
The Buddhism there, like they had monks, like they don't really get together. So there was chanting happening the day before, which was really cool. I think I sent you a video.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that. That's cool.
Do that chanting, but there were no like nuns with them. So that was like
okay. So that was very male. Okay.
Right. But in the actual talks, like I mean, I would say the majority of people were in between 30, like maybe 25 and like 55. But then there were a whole bunch of monks and nuns that flew in from different countries. I mean, everybody, there were so many international people there. I met some Americans that flew in from LA, and now I'm connected to them. Vietnam, like people flew in because there's lots of Buddhism there. Lots of different cultures, and men and women. It was equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's move on, because there's so much. We'll be here for 5 hours because there's so much I want to cover, because your trip sounds like it was amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. So you decide, okay, I saw the Dalai Lama. I got my Buddhist fixed. And now I want to do something else, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this planned hike that you embarked on that I'm sure people want to hear about, because I'm sure it was quite an experience.
Oh my gosh. That was a trek. We went to Nepal. So we went to go see Everest. And I was freaking out for like 2 months, because I was like, oh my gosh, we're in Goa. Like I'm at sea level, like, and I'm dying over here, meaning I tried to go for walks because it's so hot when it's raining. And we tried going for walks on the beach, and you just get so drained because of the heat and like humidity. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking die. How am I going to do Nepal? So I low key, like I knew I really wanted to go, because when you really want to do something, when you keep researching about it, you're watching reels on Instagram, you can't stop like researching and just really starting to get to know, like, what are the good treks? Like, do I have to fly into the world's most dangerous airport called Lukla? Or is there another thing I could do where I could take a Jeep and maybe go see it? So I was really researching, because we wanted to see Everest, but we didn't want to fly into the world's most dangerous airport, which is Lukla, Lukla. And that is the start of everybody's Everest journey, is Lukla. So you fly from
Okay.
Kathmandu, Kathmandu is in the valley. It's like
Uh-huh.
it's 5,000 feet. So it's not that high. It's like Denver, right?
Hmm.
Or New Mexico or something, or Albuquerque. But that's where everything, that's like the happening place. Like Tamil is like the fun going out place. And people just can go to Kathmandu, but it's kind of like a disgrace to go to Nepal and not see the mountains. They
Okay.
are so in Nepal, it's Hindu and Buddhist. So
Uh,
the Buddhism is off.
right,
Kathmandu is
right.
means the city of temples.
Okay.
It's the city of temples. It has all of these stupas. So the stupas are the circular mound and then like the pointy pole, and it's
Hmm.
white and gold, and they typically have eyes on them. That is the Buddhist prayer place. So all like it's just so interesting because you have Buddhists and you have Hindus and everybody lives together, and it's
Wow.
very, very cool. So we knew we wanted to go to these mountains, right? Um, Kathmandu has flights every day throughout Nepal. It's like Nepal Air
Hmm.
or Buddha Air.
Hmm.
It's the airline.
Hmm.
Buddha Air is so cool. Yeah.
That's
Buddha,
cool.
did you know Buddha was born in Nepal? No, wait.
Okay.
Wait. Yes. Buddha was born in Nepal.
Okay.
When he got enlightened, that was in India from a point in
Right.
India,
He
and there's a
tricked.
huge temple, I guess there. I would love to see, but I don't know if we have time. So anyways, we you can take these little flights, which these are like Cessnas. These are like small planes that fit 10 to 15 people in them. That's it.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
And you're like, I mean, you're with the pilot. Like there's only a curtain that
Uh,
separates like you and the pilot. So
so there's
there,
no first class, right?
you can be first class right there behind. So I did so much research on Instagram, and
Yeah.
in order to see Everest, they have a hotel that's called the Everest View Hotel. It is the
Okay.
highest hotel in the world, Everest View Hotel. It goes for anywhere from 150 to 200 USD a night. It's 5 star. The only way to get there is by helicopter. So you can charter a private helicopter, but that's
Wow.
quite expensive. If you're
Yeah.
balling, coming from
Right.
America, really,
Yeah.
want to spend $1,500 to $2,000 for per hour for a flight, you can do that. It only takes like 30 minutes to get there, I think, from Kathmandu. But anyways, that's the option.
Okay.
We didn't have
Okay.
that kind of money, so we didn't want to just take a helicopter, and we kind of think that that's cheating, you know.
Right.
Part of the beauty, the real way to do it is you fly from Kathmandu to Lukla on this airplane. And this is it's the second highest airport in the world.
Hmm.
It's like at 10,000, 11,000,
Oh, damn.
12,000 feet, something crazy like that.
Wow.
The runway
Wow.
is 1/8 the size of normal runway.
Oh my God.
You should see the
Oh my
landings
God.
and takeoffs. It's
Oh my God.
freaking,
Oh
you've
my God. I'm
probably
freaking out over here.
no, I know. That's what I'm saying is all of the articles and everybody I was talking to, because I connected with people on Instagram. This awesome girl named Jacinta, who actually gave me my recommendation for the guide that we used. I met this
Hmm.
Australian girl online because her reels were coming up, and she
Hmm.
had gone to base camp. She had gone to Everest base camp. So a lot of people want to go to do Everest base camp, not to climb actual Everest.
Right.
That you
Right.
have to be
Right.
like, I mean, that's really next. Everest base camp is 17,000 feet, which is, I don't know how many meters, but you do have to train for that. So like what we wanted to do, which was the Everest View Hotel, which is
Uh-huh.
13,500 feet, you don't need to train for that. Like he's taken people that were like overweight, not fit, and they have gotten to Everest View Hotel completely fine. Like it was a struggle,
Okay.
but like
Okay.
you're not gonna like die. Like it's okay. So, anyways, all of the research I was doing was like you have to fly to Lukla. There's no other way because it's a 7 to 8 day trek. You do 3 days, you fly into Lukla, 3 days, you're stopping. So each night you stay in a different town. And these are like Sherpa towns in the mountains, absolutely gorgeous. And you're acclimating, you're going higher. So you're going 1,000 feet higher. The next day you're going a little bit higher. And then that final day, you're making the way all the way to Everest View Hotel, which has the best view of Everest. So I literally know the entire route, but I couldn't get myself to fly to that airport. I think the landing is fine. The takeoff is what scares me because this plane, the cliff is here. The freeway ends right there at the cliff. The plane is literally taking off like 30 feet before the cliff. Like it actually, that's when the wheels leave the ground. It is, I don't know how people do that. Like, I'm sorry. That's pretty crazy. But it's pretty safe. I mean, it's honestly pretty safe, even though they call it the world's most dangerous airport. They cancel the flights if the weather's not good. It's totally fine. If you fly in the morning, it's fine. Now we saw the planes because we were up in the region. So we had to figure out if we don't want to fly into there, like where do we go? So we found the Pikey Peak trek, which is Pikey space Peak Peak trek. This you hire a Jeep, so your guide organizes this. You don't want to do these things by yourself. You guys want a good guide. I recommend going with Rajesh. He is, I think it's Nepal _ with _ Rajesh on Instagram.
Just make sure you put that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll put it in the description. But basically he was also like half the price of if you type in like any of these treks. There's Annapurna, which is like the other side of Kathmandu, which doesn't see Everest. That's a really popular one. That's like 12 days. Then there's like Everest treks, and those are really popular because everybody wants to see Everest. They start from like $1,200, $1,300 US for like 6 days. So, and that's including guide. You get 3 meals a day. That's staying in these things called tea houses. So you literally stay with like family runs this house. They call them tea houses because you stop for tea because it's so cold, and you also get food. So they make you like homemade food, which takes a while. Like it normally takes an hour when you order because they're literally grabbing the vegetables from like the land.
Wow. So he organizes these treks with these tea huts, these people with these tea huts. So they know ahead of time that you're coming?
Actually, no.
Or
they don't know ahead of time. If it's season, which we didn't go during the season, there were only 4 people on our hiking path. We only saw 4 other trekkers.
Wow.
This is crazy.
So let's start. So let's get this in perspective here. So you got your guide, and then so you started. How did it start? And then go through the whole timeline so we can kind of get an idea of how it is, how your adventure was.
So I was talking to the guide throughout like the past month and a half before, telling him like, I really want to go. I had gotten sick here in Goa. Like I had a chest cold and I was really freaked out. Like I was on antibiotics. Not that I was freaked out that I was going to die or something, but I was freaked out because we had this trip planned and I didn't know if I could go to that altitude. Like, are my lungs going to be okay? So I was low-key freaking out. And so I was just in communications with him. And, you know, obviously you're supposed to do a deposit to like hold the dates. You also get a porter who carries your bag. So that's included. They carry your 10 to 20 kilo bag, which is like 40 pounds. You can have 40 pounds. They'll carry it.
Wow.
So I didn't pay right away because of how I was feeling. And it was actually when we got to Kathmandu, I got a really good night rest. We texted him the day before, and we said, hey, we're feeling I'm feeling a lot better. Can you meet us and we can like chat about my concerns? Like, because I really wanted to make sure like I was going to be okay. You're in a remote area. Sometimes there's no service. Like,
Right.
am I going to be okay at 13,000 feet? So we actually met him. I didn't pay yet because of this situation. You are supposed to give like a $300 deposit to hold the Jeep and to like hold the porter and like secure it.
Right. Right.
Which you just do through like bank transfer through Wise. But he was so cool. He met us at a cafe. We had a nice breakfast. I was able to talk about all my concerns. He was putting things in perspective for me. He's like, Shawna, 13,000 feet is not high. Like, like, what are you
That's good.
saying? This is hot. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna need oxygen. Look, I have oxygen. I bought this oxygen can.
That's crazy. Himalaya? Is that what what's it called? Himalaya?
I bought this oxygen can because I literally like was freaking out about going to that altitude. This got my guide Rajesh, and like most guides, they go to like Everest base camp. That's normally what they do, and that's like 17,000. And
Okay.
did a trek with other tourists like before that, and they went to 20,000 in Tibet. They went to a mountain in Tibet that's very spiritual. So he was like, Shawna, you're gonna be fine. Like, we're gonna be stopping in different, you know, tea houses, spending the night. So you're gonna acclimate, they call it acclimatize to altitude. So I didn't have altitude sickness once, neither did Dan. This altitude is really too low to really feel it. Some people do, but it just depends also on your mental state, he said. So it was really
Okay.
it was nice because we got to have a mental challenge as well. He's like, if you're
Right.
thinking, so I did a lot of work as well, like while we were in the Jeep, I was like saying things to myself, like, I can breathe good. Like, when I get to this amount of feet, like I was visualizing it, and it was totally fine. So that day, when I found out that, hey, the tea houses have Wi-Fi,
Okay.
we will have service somehow throughout the way, I was a little bit better. Can we
Okay.
charge the phones? Like, that cleared up some doubts. We gave him like 1,000. So it was total 1,300, which is
For
really,
both of you? For both of you.
yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's
Okay.
6 days. That's the Jeep. That's going 8 hours from Kathmandu. That's the Jeep, which this road is pretty crazy. I'm going to tell you
So
about
you're
this.
saying 8 hours. Let me ask you. So it was a drive? The drive was 8 hours to Kathmandu?
No, from Kathmandu to the base of Everest. Remember,
Oh, okay.
we're doing the thing where we don't want to fly to Lukla, which
Oh, right. Correct.
makes
Correct. Correct.
so much easier. If you fly to Lukla, makes it easier. But because I'm a wuss, we did the Jeep, which now that I think about it, I really feel like driving was 10 times more dangerous.
Okay.
You're literally on cliffs
Oh my God.
looking down like this, and there's like buses, you're turning, and there's like a bus also coming through. Like,
Oh my
that was
God.
that's I mean, I really trusted the driver. So that's the other thing, is when you go with a guide and it's a good guide, like, they're gonna get a really good driver. Sam was the driver. He was amazing. Like, he was very chill. He wasn't trying to be speedy like a taxi driver. He was very composed and on the curves. I felt totally safe with this guy, even when I looked over like this and it was just a sheer drop.
Oh my God. You must have overcome some major fears, like major fears. You know what I mean? That's
They have
amazing.
barriers. They have barriers, but
I
like,
know, but
mental. Yeah.
yeah,
So
still. I mean, come on. Yeah,
you
that's
just
amazing.
trust these people. It's like,
Right.
they do this.
Right.
This is their
Right.
livelihood. And like, you
Right.
just know, you can tell too that they're good people. And yeah, so like,
Yeah.
lots of trust was involved.
Okay.
Organized that. And we said, okay,
Okay.
go tomorrow, Rajesh. Like, we're on a timeline. We're here for 10 days, and we also want to go volunteer in the south of Nepal. We're like, okay, Rajesh, I'm gonna Wise transfer you 1,000 right now, and then I'll give
Okay.
you the rest tomorrow in cash. Can we
Okay.
go tomorrow? Literally that moment, he's on the phone, he's organizing. He's like, we're going to the sleeping bag and the down jacket shop. Like, so they have all over Kathmandu, you can rent your gear. So you don't
Okay.
actually need to buy things, maybe just your hiking boots so you can break those in. But like,
Hmm.
You can buy your breathable shirts. Yeah, we needed like 2 or 3 shirts that were breathable, you know, one down jacket, a sweatshirt. You're supposed to have multiple trekking pants because your pants get wet. It
Okay. Okay.
the
Okay.
mountains, so the weather's unpredictable, which I only had one. So I
Okay.
sometimes did have to wake up and the pants were not dry.
Okay.
So yeah, he brings you. So right after we basically gave the deposit, it was go time. It was like he was organizing the Jeep for the next day. He was making sure the porter could meet us like 2 hours away. It was like very cool. He's very well connected. And then he walks us to the sleeping bag place, the down jacket place. We also bought an extra headlamp because you have to go to the bathroom at night in these places, and they do have electricity, but it's very minimal. The outhouse type thing that they have in the ground, so you go into a hole, you squat.
Right.
They're squat toilets. So
Right. I've heard
they
about
are
those. Yeah.
ceramic, like
Yeah.
it's nice because it's ceramic, but it is just a hole in the ground. So you're squatting, which actually I actually kind of like it because you're not touching anything. You don't have to worry
True.
about like
True.
sitting on the
True.
actual toilet that you know who touched it.
Right.
We actually got used to it. And then when I started seeing like toilets like in the hotel room afterwards, when we finished, I was like, I don't know if I want to sit on the toilet. I want this toilet.
Let me go outside and go to the bathroom instead.
No, it's really convenient. It's really
Yeah.
nice in terms of like
Yeah.
germs. Anyways, so we bought the headlamp, and just whatever.
You're getting your gear. Okay.
Raincoat.
Okay.
You need a rain jacket, like a nice plastic, like it's got a zip thing, so you can make it like tighter on your face, and that's full body kind of like dress vibe. Oh yeah, we used that 10 times. It rained.
Wow. That's crazy.
So don't come like in the beginning.
So you guys, so you guys started your trek. You got your gear now. You paid your money, and so now you guys are hiking up the mountain, correct? And you guys are are starting to hike up.
Well, no, we're in Kathmandu. We got the gear in Kathmandu.
Oh, okay.
So the next day, 7 a.m., we leave Kathmandu. The Jeep picks us up outside of our Airbnb. Obviously, we did have computers and some other things that were important and valuable. So actually, we left them with our guide at his house. He picked them up the night before. So we only brought the things for the trek, and we had our bags packed. Everything was ready to go. And yeah, we basically got to see, when you do this drive, it's an experience. I mean, the roads are not the greatest, lots of curves. You're seeing the change of scenery from city to green and all of these hills. So these hills, they call them hills. They aren't, to me, they're mountains. Big green, lush mountains on the way to this Everest region. It's very green. It's beautiful. The Nepali people call them hills. And they go to a hill until it's 13,000 feet. So that means Mammoth and like these ski resorts in like Colorado called hills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were just shocked because that's the size of these mountains. They're not even calling 13,000, like 12,000 feet.
Yeah. That's crazy.
In hill, because the mountains are the ones that start at like 14,000 that are in the distance, and then up to Everest, which is 29. So we thought that was really interesting culturally, is that these guys are hardcore. This is like
for sure.
Yeah.
So okay, so
we went through banana plantations. We went through this beautiful river, which I think is called the Sochi. I don't remember, but it was rice plantations for like 4 hours. Swerving, we're going up on a hill, down, and all these beautiful hills, lots of vegetation. You could tell a lot of the vegetation comes from there. And we get to the first stop, which is Dop Bazaar. And yeah, like we're just climbing for for 8 hours. We stopped halfway for dalbat. Dalbat is like the platter they give you with all the different mounds of like veg and then the lentils and the rice. That's what they eat every day for breakfast and for dinner. That's all they. Yes.
Oh wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
They just eat dalbat all the time.
Oh wow.
But
That's
they serve
crazy.
it differently. Every restaurant serves it differently. So we really got to experience like, I mean, we're very local. And then you're on the way, nobody speaks English. So without our guide, it's like we probably could have ordered and done stuff, but like even at the pharmacy without our guide over there, like they didn't understand what I was saying. So it's really nice to be with the guide. When we got to Dop Bazaar, it was a combination of, we had climbed obviously to 10,000 feet. So that's still pretty high. Like,
yeah.
you would kind of feel tired from like an 8-hour drive. I'm getting a little car sick because you're like literally like this. The clouds have rolled in on the last 2 hours of the drive. So you can't really see far ahead of you. And you're going on these windy cliff roads. And we're just straight climbing. We finally got there and I was like, thank you, Jesus. Because I felt a little easy. I also felt very low energy. It's probably from the drive and then also the altitude. We just chilled at this tea house, and just immediately these tea houses, we got the first vibe of it. It's just this cute little town. The villagers run this town for the trekkers. And this is the start of the trek for Peaky Peak. And they welcome you in like family. Immediately the Nepalis, like them, the porter and our guide, they just like, they start walking in the kitchen. They're just like talking to the owners. Like, it's so funny how they interact with the tea house owners. It's like they've already known or something. But they
right.
And he doesn't book it in advance when it's not season, because we were the only ones staying at their little hotel.
Oh wow.
It's one little like living room, like fireplace, like you could call it the central area. That's where the kitchen is. You sit there, they have comfortable cushions and seats. You order your tea.
Right.
That's why it's called a tea house.
What are they made out of? What are they constructed? How are they constructed? Are they
just wood? And it's really thin wood. So like that was the area where we ate. So we were just chilling in there, charging our phone, connected to the Wi-Fi, checked in. Like we're just chilling in there for like three hours. Each day, we're always chilling in that little tea house, like dining room area. All the guests can stay and chill there. And we're just chilling there. Normally they put a fire if it's cold, but it wasn't cold. We thought it was cold.
Okay.
It's not cold enough to put a fire, and you guys aren't wet. We're not going to put the fire. So next door is where they had the rooms. Now these rooms are really like simple. This is just basic. I'm surprised they had electricity. A lot of these towns, they have solar. So they do have electricity. I mean, but this electricity is like, they did it. Like you see the wires hanging out. It's like you have one switch in your little room. There's 2 windows, but it's freezing. I mean, you're at 10,000 feet now. So even in the summer, this is summer, it's cold. It's September. So that sleeping bag we rented like for $2 a day, that was very good thing, because you're like, you gotta be in it and
gotta really
generate your own heat. There's no heater. You have a plug, you got one switch, and Dan and I, so they're always like double rooms. So they're like single beds, and they're very hard cushions. They're not comfortable. And they give you a pillow, and they do give you a blanket. So Dan actually just used the blanket and he was fine. But that first night, it was hard for me to sleep. It's probably just like I was nervous, and the altitude and it was cold. Dan had to come over and calm me down. And I finally got to sleep. And the next morning, though, we did wake up so you're waking up for these treks each day very early. So it's a 4-day actual trekking trek to get 3 days to get to the top of Peaky Peak, where you're going to see this beautiful views of the Himalayas and Everest. And the next morning, they said, if you guys wake up at 6, the lady that owned the place, the lady and the man, if you guys wake up at 6, we have a lookout. It's right here. It's literally 5 minutes. You just walk up that hill and you guys can see Everest. I'm like, where online did it say that in Dot Bazaar, this random town,
Right.
have a view of Everest? What people don't know is like the articles that you're reading, it's everything's gonna be talking about flying into Lukla, the Everest View Hotel. Based on the internet, I thought the only place I could go to see Everest was that. And like this. I didn't know that throughout the whole drive, by the way, if it's clear, you can see Everest.
See Everest. Wow.
So,
oh, wow.
In theory, I didn't have to do this trek, which part of me, because I was like scared still. That morning, I was like, oh, if we're going to see Everest, we saw Everest, by the way. It was very clear. We walked up there. Maybe it took us like 15 minutes to just walk up there. And we stayed up there for about an hour taking photos. Pretty good views. I was like, wait a second, mission accomplished. I was like, we don't need to do the trek anymore.
We're done. Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap it up.
I'm like, Rajesh, can we go back? Because I was like low-key scared. Like, you're walking 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers a day.
Yeah, that's and what is that in miles? What is that in miles?
I think it's 10 miles a day. Like,
oh yeah,
8 to 10 miles
crazy.
a day.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
In the altitude.
Wow. That's crazy, Shawna. Wow.
I know. So after we climbed up there, so we woke up early because the only time you can see Everest is anywhere between sunrise, which is around 5:30, till about 8. Then the clouds start coming through. It's not going to be as good. So it's some reason the world is calm at the hour. So we went up. We came back down after we got our pictures. We had breakfast in the little tea house. You feel like you have some energy because you just slept. And right at 8, we're starting walking. So we packed all of our stuff. Porter's taking my bag. We're saying goodbye to the people. And the trek starts right to the left of their hotel. And we're starting just walking into the beautiful green hills. And you will occasionally, every 30 minutes or hour, you maybe see a villager walking past you by themselves in their normal dress, walking to that town that we just came from. That's how they get around.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah. It's crazy. Sure. Were you at any point, like during your walk up the thing, you were having doubts? Were you doing self-talk like when you're doing these 10-mile walks? Were you telling yourself, Shawna, you got this? You got this. Like, were you, I know I would be doing that.
Yeah. I had to do that at a lot of points. Like, yes, reassurance and having some phrases, but again, having the guide. I've never hiked or walked through the wilderness with so much trust. Like, that was really big, like, help. Because when we go to places we don't know, like in the redwoods in California, I know there's bears around. I'm not with a guide. I did that. I went for a little circuit walk by myself one time and I brought bear spray. I was freaking out. There was no self-talk that was helping me. Like, so this though, because you have a guide, it was the mornings are always the best because you have a lot of energy. It's not that hot. The weather is typically okay until about 1 or 2. So we walked from 8 till 2 hours, and then we got to this we found a little village. There were like maybe 10 houses. We stopped, we put our bags down. We had a tea. The guy made us a tea. He was a Sherpa. He's the typical guy that this is like the image of the Sherpas. They have that bamboo basket on their back and they fill it up and they just hike from town to town with this like basket on their head. They like hold it up here and it's hanging from yeah. I'll have to send you a picture, but that's how they get around. The women, the men, everybody. So we had he told me he was a Sherpa. That's why I'm sharing this. He was drying his chilies. He was They grow a lot of chilies there. They like spicy. He made us a
Oh.
tea. We had a 10, 15-minute break, and then we continued and
Mhm.
probably walked for like another 3 hours until we stopped for food in Japre. So that's one of my favorite places we stop. Jhapre. It's a village on these green hills, and it has a Buddhist monastery. They've got a pretty big, like it's a guest house, so they've got lots of rooms. And we just loved the family there. They were cool. But like the kids help the mom make food. They were the kid, she was like 8 or 9, was helping her mom roll the dough. I mean, this is like people are living off the land, and they're making money just off of the trekkers that come on this pathway.
Wow. Wow.
It's really cool.
That's beautiful.
Yes, and there's no way, like, oh, they are poor. They're not like poor. They're okay. They are living a great life. Those people.
Yeah. They're happy.
They're happy.
They're happy. Yeah.
So we did that.
All right. So
that part about that, I was going to tell you about the mental part. That's mental talk.
Right.
After you eat, that's when everything goes down. Everything shit hits the fan. Because
why? Why is that?
Okay. We got there, what, 2 o'clock? No, 1 o'clock. You order your food, which we normally all order dal bhat because it's the easiest. If you order the same thing, they're making a big batch instead. But if we're all ordering, oh, I want the chicken soup and I want the veg spring rolls, she's gonna have to make like 4 different things. So it's gonna take longer, and we still have walking to do. We're trying to take advantage of the daylight. We're literally walking after we eat, which I think is crazy, but you have to do it, I guess. The hardest part of that day was after eating. And I started realizing, okay, now I'm trekking. Like the morning was we were downhill, it was flat. We actually went downhill to Japre. I was like, wait, why are we going downhill? Aren't we supposed to be going up?
Going up to see Everest?
We're going to go up. Japre to eat the dal bhat, which is the big platter of all the stuff. You're waiting for about 45 minutes to an hour for her to make it. You got to eat.
See.
So that's what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We've just 2 hours.
I get it now. I see. I got you.
Imagine now you're getting tired.
Right.
So he tells us right after we eat, all right, pack our stuff, we're going to go. I'm like, my food is digesting. I can't walk. I ate so much. The energy now in the belly digesting.
I got you.
Now we're walking uphill for 3 hours. Oh my God.
See, I was wondering what you were talking about. Now I got it.
I thought I was going to die. The afternoons every day, I thought I was going to die. And what I mean by that, mentally, physically, exhaustion, the afternoons, like if I were to do this differently, yeah, maybe I would double the amount of days, but then you would kind of like be wasting time, no? Because I mean,
that's a long time.
It can be done in those 4 days. So why am I going against what the guide wants to do? Anyway, it's kind of like you got to go with the flow. So that uphill part, I was really tired because we've already walked 10 kilometers, which is 6 miles. And I have the walking sticks. The guide lent me his walking sticks that he always brings for people. But still, I mean, it's altitude. I'm taking little steps, right? So I'm like, the trick was to take 5 steps when you go uphill and take a 2-step break. So in your mind, counting like 1, 2, 3 or something. But I literally was stopping like, I don't know, every 25 seconds because I was really out of breath and I was tired, and I was a little bit freaking. I was like,
right.
Oh my God, it's like 4 o'clock. Like, and I was looking, I always have your GPS works if you don't have service. We didn't have service there, by the way. But you're looking on Google Maps. Okay, from here to where we're going to stay the night, like you're seeing that little blue dot and you've like barely moved and it's been an hour, and you're like, I'm literally dying. Like, I can't believe we haven't moved. And I'm like, we had an intervention like on the trail because it had been an hour 15, and I was really struggling. And he's like, okay, Shawna, we have to make a decision right now. He goes, I suggest we keep going because tomorrow is the toughest day. And I'm like, what?
He's like,
Like,
I thought today was the toughest day. Yeah.
right. He's like,
yeah.
this is all uphill. And if we can conquer
Yeah.
this and stay at higher altitude, you're going to be better acclimation wise than if we turn around and go back. Because I was like, we were really thinking about turning around and going back because I was having such a hard time. I was going really slow. And the worry was that we weren't going to make it by the time it was dark. I mean, it gets dark at 6:30, 6:45, and it was 4. And we had already made this progress, and we were, measuring with our fingers on the map. Like, clearly you could tell we're not going to make it by sunset. So, and this is the funny part, is the locals tell you, oh, it only takes 2 hours. They're like, that's their pace. But they were trying to like interpret it for us. They're like, oh, it'll probably take you 2 hours.
Right.
For them, it takes them an hour and a half. Oh no. This took us like 3.5, close to 4 hours. And I didn't tell my mom this. We actually walked in the nighttime for the last 45 minutes to an hour. And it was pouring rain. Oh no. What happened? Oh no. Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. My Wi-Fi just went off. So I'm now on.
I don't know what happened. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi went out. So I just jumped onto my hotspot. So sorry about that. I hope
That's okay. Okay.
Recording okay. But this we were walking for 45 minutes in the dark to an hour, and it was pouring rain. And I was pissed off.
Wow.
I was pretty pissed off because I was like, oh my God. Like, how could we be walking in the rain? Like, I was like, a bear is gonna attack us. Like, I was like, at this point, you're just exhausted, right? And like, so now I'm moving. I'm moving my ass up. Like, you're in a steady incline still. I'm moving my ass out of fear, not out of like, now my adrenaline is pumping. So, we knew where we were going, but just obviously the reading, you're wet, like I was like low key. I was a little bit scared, but Dan was totally fine. Our guide was totally fine. Like, they weren't scared that we were going to be attacked or something by a leopard or a bear. And then we lost the porter. The porter.
What happened with him?
So here's the thing.
What happened?
The porter, who's the one that carries your bag, his name was Raj.
Yeah.
He said, okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and order and like make sure I'm going to tell them that we're coming. Like, because you can't just call these people. So he was like, I'm going to just go ahead. You guys are walking slow. I'll meet you there. And he had been there before. So he said he knew the way, which I was like, why are you leaving? You've been here. You know the way. We need you. Like, why are you leaving? So, but it was because he wanted to make sure they knew we were coming. Like, because sometimes if people don't come, like, they'll leave and they'll go down back to their town and like do stuff or go see a friend or whatever, right? So he wanted to make sure like there was somebody there. And so, and then the service went out. So our guide couldn't call him. It started raining. I have a waterproof phone. So I had our maps out in the water.
Okay.
I had our maps out the whole time. We knew we were going in the right direction. And it's not like there's a path, like there's a road, but it's really off-roading road. And so anyways, we didn't know where the porter was. At points we were trying to like scream his name, and we finally we were like yelling because we were trying to see if Raj was close by because it was dark. There are, by the way, there are leopards in this part of Nepal. Leopards.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
They don't
real wild leopards running around.
Wild leopards but just like America, we have mountain lions and bears. It's the same thing. It's like the same.
Yeah.
So we're in a group though. I made Dan play the music really loud. So we actually, the guide and Dan brought speakers. So we were playing some really fun music, and partially I was the one
that's great.
I'm like, play loud music so the animals don't attack us. Playing loud.
So you guys got to, that's great. That's fantastic. I mean, that music is the ultimate mood changer, you know, for sure.
We got to the place. We got to the place at 10,900 feet. The guy was waving his flashlight. So we could see him in the dark, like his house.
Okay.
We were like, oh my gosh, civilization. We made it.
That's great. That's great. Oh my God. That's great.
Soaking wet. Boots soaking wet. Pants soaking wet. He put the fire on for us. He started making food. We were serving. It was great.
So you guys took pictures? Did you guys take pictures when we were on top of the mountain?
Yeah, so we haven't even gotten there yet. But the next day, we got sick, by the way. Like that night at 10,900 feet, after being wet, this was actually more cold because you're higher, and it was still raining. It's just that breathing in that cold air in this little box that you're staying in is like, it's pretty, like everybody gets a sore throat. That's why you need to come with a medical kit. So we had cough drops. I had honey. I had bought a big jar of honey, so I was just like eating the honey. That night, Dan and I both got a sore throat, and it was kind of hard to swallow the day. And it felt like we were getting sick, which we were like, oh great. So we were just drinking hot tea, hot water when we could. And that next day, probably one of the coolest walking days. Again, 10 to 15 kilometers. And you're walking through this forest that's like tropical oasis with like waterfalls. Like it looked like and bamboo everywhere. Looked like a panda bear was gonna like pop out at any point. That's what the kind of of it.
I got an idea. Yeah.
Just going past these Buddhist villages and coming up on like a house that she said she would do dalbat for us, and we stopped for lunch. Again, same thing happened after we stopped. The hardest part, and this was to go to the peak base camp, which is at which is at 12,900 feet. So we climbed from 10,900 to 12,900 in a day. So that's 2,000 feet of elevation increase. And the incline. After the dalbat, the second day, the lunch, and that was a really cool experience, seeing them start the fire, blowing into that thing. I mean, this is proper. They live off the land. Seeing the kids help the mom and running around, taking our plates from us. They're 2 years old. And then we kept walking. You see this mountain we have to go up, and I'm just like, here we go. Like, like very small steps, pacing your breath. And we get to the Peaky Peace base camp like 3-4 hours later, and I'm just like finished. And I think it felt like I had a fever. Like I took ibuprofen because I was like, it was a little bit of a headache. I don't think it was altitude sickness. It was just because you do get headache with the altitude. It really was Like I could feel like my body was just like hot, and my sore throat was hurting. It was like a bunch of different things. And you just have to push through it. So like what you said,
You push through it.
the self-talk, I was stopping and talking to Dan, and I'd look at him like, babe, this is horrible. Like, I don't know if I could do this. He's like, you got this. He's like, we can do this. We're here. I'm here with you. Like, it was very hard. This was not easy, dude.
It was most memorable thing you've ever done in your life? If you have to say
one of them,
most memorable thing you've
it was
most challenging thing you've ever done in your life.
Probably most challenging because when we got there, we're at the base camp. We're now really high. I'm feeling okay. We had some decompression time, having our tea house and like just trying to chill and chilling for multiple hours, having the food. Went to bed early, still very cold in the room. Having our stuff dry by the fire because again, we got soaking wet. And the goal was, okay, let's wake up early and we hike up the last 2 hours, which is to the very, very top where you see the amazing view of Everest. And I almost chickened out. I still was feeling bad the next morning. Throat was hurting. I had a cough. I don't know if it was a fever, but it kind of was like, it felt like I had a little fever because I was sweating the night before. And I literally almost said, guys, I don't think I can go. Like, and I actually did say that. And they were like, okay, Dan was like, okay, well, I'm going. You can stay and sleep. And I was like, wait a second.
Okay.
I'm like about to come all the way over here and not walk up this mountain right here.
That's right.
Because it was taking me out the 13,300 feet. Like, oh my gosh, that's like 400 more feet incline. Like, I was just in my head and obviously not feeling good. And I just, at 5:30, I was like, okay, I'm going to go, guys. Let's go. And so at 5:30, we started walking up. It took us about an hour and a half, hour 45. And that was really beautiful. When you really set your mind to it and you just go, you just take time. There's no rush, even though everybody's waiting for you. And we just seeing the beautiful Himalayas. We're like, oh, wow, it's clear. This is worth it. And we're getting up there. And I didn't feel tired when I got to the top.
That's great. So you said, I'm not going to think, I'm just going to do. I'm not going to think, I'm just going to do. Yes. And you just did. That's amazing. That's a lesson. That's inspiring to me.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
The other part is we had a dog. We had a dog. It was such a cool experience. When we left at 5:30 from this base camp, because there's base camps all over, like peaks right below them. They call them base camps, right? And the cute mountain dog was so cute in the morning, excited. He came with us the whole way up for 2 hours. He was with us for 3 hours, 4 hours. He came up to the top. He would kind of come running over by me, look at me when I would stop. Like, he knew I was struggling. This dog was so smart, and he was like leading the way up to the top.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
That's
the
cool.
Flags are waving in the those the Nepal like Buddhist flags, the colorful ones. They were waving up there. So the whole time you're looking at it, you're like, we're just going right there and getting closer and closer. And we get to the top and you can see all of the Himalayas, and there's an app called Peak Finder. And you can kind of go like this. And obviously having the guide, he tells you what all of them are because he's been to a lot of these. Okay. And you have closer ones that are actually really low, 15,000, 20,000 feet. And Everest, which is way in the back, 30 miles away. I mean, it's still really big, but the ones that are closer obviously look huge. So it was very beautiful. Like, we got really good photos of even the ones that were really close to us. I thought were prettier, but there's no pretty. It's just, they come up here to pray. Like, a lot of these religions, these mountains are like spiritual. So it was really cool to just be there and just, this is where also just see these people and how they live. They live right here in these mountains.
Yeah. Did you meditate when you were up there? Did you stop?
Yes, I did. It
Yes.
was hard because there were multiple people around me and like we were all obviously like taking,
Right.
but yeah, I did stop and like meditate and close my eyes and generate like
Hmm.
gratitude. It was,
There you go. Yeah.
it was very cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. So I'm thinking about this whole trek because I ride bikes and I'm always riding bikes and I'm going 18 miles this way. And then I go, oh, I got to go 18 miles. I got to go 18 miles back. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you did this whole trek. You got to be thinking in your head, okay, we got to go home now. We got to go back. Right.
Yeah.
So aren't you're not, yeah, so you're not freaking out about going back. You have to go back the same amount of time, the same route, everything. Right. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. I mean,
So
going
yeah,
home.
you're at the prize and you're like so excited. We stayed up there
Right.
for an hour about, and the clouds cleared.
Okay.
When we got there, it was cloudy, but then they would clear. Every 10 minutes, the clouds are in a different place. So we had some really good shots of Everest and the surrounding mountains. But then the guide, you know, he's always keeping you on track. He's like, all right, Shawna, we got to go. And I'm like, no, just 5 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Like, you don't want to leave up. Once you're up there, you want to stay up there like all day. It's so
Right, right, right,
and you just feel
right,
like you're on like the
right.
edge of the world. You're looking over at all of these mountains. So obviously we needed to go down because it was already,
Yeah.
we had gotten there at 7:15. We basically stayed up there until like 8:15. And the walk down, obviously down is a lot easier. So the walk down
Sure,
took like
sure.
30 minutes, 40 minutes to get back down to the base camp. So we kept all of our stuff there because we were going to have breakfast.
Okay,
So once we
okay.
got down and when we were walking down, because there's stairs and it's, I mean, you're walking down like this.
Yeah.
You start feeling the whole time, those first 2 days, we hadn't felt muscle sore, actually. Very strange. We must have had really good
Oh,
hiking shoes, but we started feeling sore from walking down that one. Oh, our leg, Dan and our
oh,
leg started to shake because we were like, damn. So actually walking down causes more muscle soreness and like it's hard, you know, more your muscles, I think, are working in a different way. So we got
yeah.
down, we had some porridge. So they have in the mountains there, they eat porridge for breakfast, noodle soup. And they
Okay.
make this cool chapati, which is this bread with curry. But
Hmm.
that takes a while. So we never ordered that because our guide wouldn't let us. He was like, sorry, that's gonna take too long. So I
We're
would
on a
order,
mission here. We got to get back. So
yeah, I would order porridge.
yeah.
It's like oat porridge that's straight from there. And they made it with hot water instead of milk for me and honey. And I'd always add honey. It was really good, yummy and warm for the morning because it's cold and it's pretty filling. So we would then we pack up our stuff. You know, maybe we've left by like 9:30, 10, because now we need to go all the
Mhm.
way back to what is it? Japre. So
Mhm.
Japre is that place that we had first came up through to have lunch the first day when I told you then I died in the afternoon. Like
Right, right, right,
we're actually, so we had
right.
walked already like 20 to 30 kilometers there, probably 25 to 30. Now we were supposed to walk 20 to go back to Japre because it's mostly downhill. So he was telling me, all right, so when you get a flat part or downhill, like if you can walk, like if it's flat, walk fast. Like you'll notice, and you're going downhill now, so you'll be better with the altitude. This morning, wow, we felt really good. We were going downhill. We had a lot of energy. We were covering a lot of ground in like such a short amount of time. So
Mhm.
it took us about 4 hours to get back through everywhere we went, and we waved and we said hi to everybody we had seen. There was a lady weaving a bamboo basket in the middle of nowhere. They literally lived so remote off of this trail. We saw her weaving a bamboo basket the day before, and she had finished. So that was kind of cool. We got to see the bamboo basket.
Oh wow, I got to see the beginning.
Done. Yeah. And
that's cool.
Rajesh is really cool. He stops and talks to them. And while he does it, he snaps some really good photos. So he has a really good camera. And so the whole time he's taking pictures of you, like really high quality pictures. And so we got.
Are you going to get those?
Oh, I have them on my phone.
Oh, I want to see those. Oh, I want to see those.
Yeah. So
those sound cool.
That's nice about going with a guide that's also a photographer. So Rajesh is amazing. So anyways, we stopped for the Dalbat again. You're pretty tired. When you stop, you think you're going to be done. And then we still had 2.5, 3 more hours to go to Japade. So again, same kind of vibe in the afternoon, feeling not good. Again, I actually still felt like really bad, like feverish. It was raining. There was lightning this time.
Oh, great.
And we are in an area that there weren't a lot of trees, because it's a lot of grassland when you get to this part. And so I'm seeing, like, you're hearing the thunder. I mean, you're seeing a flash maybe around somewhere. And I'm like, Rajesh, I'm not going to die right here. I'm like, and I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling walking again this afternoon. And I'm like, oh my God, what do we do? I'm like, we're supposed to be by like trees so that it can go. And we're the tree, like we're in the middle of a grassland. He's like, yeah, we're not really in a good area. He's like, we just need to walk like to where there's trees. So we just kept going, and they tried to keep me calm because I was like low-key freaking out. And obviously, again, the fear made me walk faster. And he's like, don't freak out. Keep your breathing. Everything's going to be fine. But you're like, you're in a situation where you're in the middle of nowhere. And that's the element. This is a part of it,
It is what it is. It is what it is.
So we were fine. But yeah, then we finally got back to Japade, and I was like, I have to go to bed early. And we had our food. We actually had really good view of Everest again when we got to Japade.
Oh, great.
Sunset. So we saw Everest like 4 or 5 times on the trip. So you're not just
that's great.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. So when you got back from this whole adventure, and I think you told me that you ran into some villages where there were children, and could you talk a little bit about that in detail? Because I know that was quite an experience.
Yes. So the first experience with the children and an awesome village was the Japre place, where they have really good views of Everest. And I'm going to put the link to the location of where you can stay with this family. They were so cute. And the little girl, I was meditating in the morning because we saw Everest actually the clearest that last morning. And I was meditating and she came up to me and she was just staring at me. And I actually ended up giving her a gift, like a little hairpin that I had bought at the Dalai Lama place. She was so cute. She would stand next to me and she put her hand on my shoulder. Like as I was meditating, I was like, this is so cute. Like she felt like a grandma and a sister. It was really cool.
Wow.
So that was the first place. And that was Japre. Again, something called Everest Viewpoint Hotel or something like that. And when we got done with this trip, we drove back to Kathmandu. We stayed in a hotel Thursday night, like that last day that we trekked back to where we started. Instead of staying where we stayed, he wanted to take us to like a nicer hotel so we could shower. We hadn't showered in the 4 nights. So we're just using like wipes and
Oh,
things.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
normal.
well.
Yeah. So then he wanted to bring us
It's
down
good.
to the normal town where we stayed in a hotel. And yeah, it wasn't really hot shower. It was like lukewarm, which is totally fine. Who cares?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, yeah.
the next morning we woke up early and drove all the way back to Kathmandu. Dan and I stayed in I put us in a nice hotel, which was like $40
Mhm.
and it was 5-star. And we had a really good night rest. We felt very energized, very like complete. We just did this cool trek. And then the next I bought us a ticket. So for the next morning to go visit my friends who have this nonprofit in Biratnagar, Nepal. And they are Christian, they're missionaries. So they've been doing this for 15 years in different places around the world. And they build churches and schools and in like really
Wow.
poor areas. So these kids literally have lived in straw huts, mud huts, and they don't have access to schools because they are at the lowest caste system, the lowest of the caste systems. These are Indian tribes that are like stuck-ish in Nepal. So they came over, but because of their last names, they get discriminated upon and then they can't get work. So they're kind of just stuck in this caste system. And that's why they just keep staying poor. And we saw we visited like 8 of the different villages that they help. They help like double that amount. And they're all far away. These people are amazing. Sonia and Paul. She's
Mhm.
American and Mexican, and he's from Nepal. And he does the translations and she does the teaching. And they hire teachers that are also from very poor villages, but that have somewhat of an education and that know how to read and write so that they can teach these kids how to read and write. Because otherwise, the parents don't send them to school. And then they never learn how to read and write.
Oh, it's too bad.
So,
That's crazy. So,
yeah,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say
So
Sonia,
it's kind of a, go ahead.
Sonia, like she was telling us, she's just like in the car when we're driving to these villages, so hot. It's like an inferno. We were sweating, like never sweat like that anywhere. Felt like I was in Africa or something. It's right on the border of India. Sonia was like, it just breaks my heart to see that these kids don't get the opportunity. So that's why they want to build these schools. And they work with like people that are from these villages that maybe own a little piece of land, and they talk to them and they're like, hey, this could be a good future for these kids here. And they get totally on board and they donate their land to be a part, and they're like the hero of the village. So it was so cool to see that whenever we got to these villages, they put lays on us. So they found the flowers and they would put the lay on each of us. And it was the cutest thing. That was like their welcoming gift to us on every village. And then every time we did
Oh,
that, the owner of the land was always with us. And you could tell that this was like a normally it was a giving man that really wanted like these kids to just have an opportunity to get better. And it was really cool. Every village, they let me talk, and then Paul would translate.
oh.
Yeah, so I would say thank
So
you for having us in your
what were you doing?
village. I would say
Okay.
thank you. I'd tell them that we come from a very far away place. And we want to let you know that we care about you and we're thinking of you. And we want you guys to get an education so that you guys can obviously do whatever you want in your life and make money. And I would kind of get them involved of like, what do you guys want to be when you're older? And I don't know, just to get them excited about going to school.
Right, right,
And
right.
just saying thank you for having us in their village because they have never had foreigners come to their village. They've never seen
What?
like foreigners. Nobody cares about them. They're so low on the caste system.
Oh,
That's the kind of energy there. Nobody cares enough about them to want to help them. They've never had, like, this is huge that they're getting donations of $5 so that like they can buy 3 shoes for the kids. So that's why they get so excited. We were like, why is this such a big deal? Like when our car drove up, all of the kids were there waiting for like an hour. Some of them, I think one village, we were late. They were sitting there for 3 hours waiting for us to arrive. The parents had all, and we were like, why?
So there's multiple villages that you guys visited in that kind of like in that same area, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rice paddies. Okay. There's rivers. It's actually very beautiful. Rice paddies, bamboo. They live off the land again. They have chickens running around. Like typically they have goats, but some are way worse off than others. Like the things that they help with is, like I said, the schools and getting people that aren't going to school to go, and then getting the ones that have to, like, if they were to go to school, some of them have to cross a river and it's dangerous for them to cross a river. They could die. Some kids die, and they could also get snake bites. I mean, it's a whole, so they want to make it so like school doesn't have to be like a 2-hour, they have to walk for 2 hours by themselves to go to school. There's a teacher, he rides on his bike. He's a sweetheart. He rides on his bike an hour and a half, bicycle, to go teach these kids. And he didn't have a bicycle. He didn't have a way to get there because he's so poor. And so that's what some of the donations went to, go buy him a bicycle so he can come to these 2 villages and teach the kids for 2 hours each day.
I just noticed when I saw some of the photos that you shared with me, their energy, they were smiling, they were happy, they were joyous, not just from your presence, but just in general. They were just running around, and it was so colorful. I don't know. I was very moved by it. I was very moved by your experience and what you did there. I was really moved by it. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Well, if you want to come volunteer, and anybody that wants to come volunteer, I'll put the link in the description so how you guys can reach out.
Yeah, do that.
They are literally the most amazing people I've ever met. We actually stayed with them in their extra bedroom. They have a beautiful home. mercymissionnepal.org. Mercy, like MERSY, mission, MISSION, nepal.org. And that's their primary goal, is to get these kids to go to school. And when you donate, it goes for that as well as buying shoes. So we actually handed out shoes to one village, which was probably the most impactful part of it. Was there was this one kid, he was really depressed because this is a new village that they're helping. So they were surveying, like all the parents come and the kids were there and they put out this tarp so the kids don't sit on dirt. And Paul, my Nepali friend who runs this, he was like, raise your hand if you go to school. And like everybody who raised their hand that went to school raised their hand. And there were like 10 kids that didn't go to school. And one of them was getting really shy, and I could tell maybe why that's probably uncomfortable. You know, it's like you feel left out. And you could tell he was pretty depressed. He was like really sad. Like, I don't know what's going on with his parents. Like maybe they don't have a good situation, but I was just fixating on his face because he was really sad. And then he handed out the shoes and he smiled.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
He smiled the whole time until we gave him those shoes. Like he probably has never gotten a gift from anybody. So he's gonna go to school, and he just got some shoes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
They're really helping. They're really helping these people.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you this. So let's so like, I guess travel sometimes I don't know, provides personal growth, right? For people and transformation. How do you feel this trip has influenced you? You know, how do you feel it's influenced you?
It's a good question. I definitely think that this was like the most impactful travel I've ever done because it was
Okay.
Dalai Lama. It wasn't even that. It was the kids, like helping the kids and volunteering. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, but sometimes we just do the travel because we think, oh, I want to go to this place and see this thing. And it's very self-centered versus the going to a place where no tourists go. Biratnagar, Nepal is like the armpit, as they would call it, like the armpit of Nepal, because there's nothing to do there. There's not like it's not really that beautiful. There's no architecture. It's not, it's pretty poor. And nobody really goes there just to visit it. They go there. And so going there for the mission of like helping was really cool. Because I don't think we've ever done that.
Mm-hmm.
We never really do that. We go to go travel and be for ourselves, you know? So I think that was really cool to be when you go to these poorer countries, it's really more humbling, you know? So I definitely feel like better about, I guess, life, just being more grateful. I don't think I don't want to complain about anything ever again because these kids are just
Gotcha.
they don't even have shoes.
Right.
And they were welcoming and kind, and they made us food. I'm like, they're making us food. 2 villages made us lunch. And they were like, we sat at their only table and ate the lunch. And I felt so bad. I'm like, well, wait a second. Like, this is your food. Like, why are you giving it to me? So it was very cool to see also, I don't know. I still am processing it. But yeah, definitely.
Right. No, that's cool. That's cool. And that's cool. And then physically,
I'm just trying to figure out how I can make those feelings continue, because we always do these great things. You don't want to go back to the way you were, like maybe complaining or, oh my, like not feeling grateful about the work you have, or, you know, because being on the computer, for me, it's pretty exhausting sometimes. And so I can get in my head a little bit about like getting sucked into the computer, and you kind of get into this little you can start complaining about, oh my gosh, I hate the computer, like this is so annoying. So trying to see it from like a different perspective, and also like making sure I involve helping others more. Like, why don't I send out this link and ask friends to donate $5 more often for
that's right.
Take a stand for these kids.
Yeah.
I think once you experience it, then you want to keep. But nobody that hasn't experienced this doesn't get it. They think, oh, this is just another one of those things. And I'm like, but you haven't seen it. Once you go see that and
so you
kids, you're like, and they're dirty and they haven't showered. Their parents have serious issues. They've got addiction problems. Maybe their parents died. Some of them are orphans and they don't have they're dirty. Their grandparents that they live with aren't washing them. We were going to give them a bath. I was about to give them a bath, but we were late to go to the next place. They were waiting for us for like 3 hours. But we were about to, she normally gives them baths when she comes, like once every 2 weeks, because they're just dirty. The grandma doesn't give them a bath because they're old and they can't do it.
So that's crazy. If I'm a person that wants to do what you did, what advice would you give me if I wanted to do it? What advice would you give me to get started? Like, what would you tell me? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you tell me?
You do the vision exercise about what you really want, and don't listen to anybody else. Like, don't listen to people that are like, oh, what are you thinking about? I have on moveoverseasnow.com, there's a vision. Actually, it's a freebie. So it's a free resource on the website. And I take you through, there's a YouTube video that's involved, and it's a vision exercise of like, if you want to move abroad or anything like that, you can listen to this. And also there's questions. I show you how to research a little bit, like different places and based on your values. It's really to like get clear on what are your values, what do you really want, and choosing a place based on your values. If it's traveling, maybe it's like, oh, I want to go out of my comfort zone, like because I'm just going for 2 weeks. This vision exercise is more for people that want to like relocate to a new place, or even like digital nomad for like 6 months somewhere. But you should choose it based on your values, and yeah, just do it. I mean, the hardest part is doing it. Most people get stuck in the research analysis paralysis, and they don't.
Is that what it's called? Is that
Yeah.
what it's called? Analysis paralysis? Okay.
Analysis
I got you.
paralysis.
I got you.
Just analyzing and researching and doubting and not taking any action. And that's why people never travel and they never move abroad. So it's really just knowing that you can do it by yourself. You don't need anybody like to travel with you. Those can be really great experiences going by yourself. I've actually had very bad experiences because I knew somebody that wanted to go to Italy too, and we went together and it was horrible. We didn't have the same values. She didn't want to do the same things. So doing things by yourself.
Could you have done this by yourself without Dan? Could you have done this trip by yourself?
I mean, I went to the Dalai Lama by myself, but the actual trekking part, I think anybody can do anything by themselves, but I didn't want to. I wanted him to come with me because it's also like going outside of India. But no, you can totally do it by yourself. Yes. Rajesh, the guide, top notch, very good. So, but I just mentally, and I was like getting over being sick. Like I wanted to have obviously Dan to like be my partner through that. But yeah, like I think just clearing up the misconceptions on what you think about traveling. Like I said, I was super scared to come to India. We've been totally fine. We just eat at the pretty good restaurants, and it's everything's fine. There's no this whole talk on you needing yellow fever vaccine, and I mean it really gets scary when you're planning it. But you got to get out of the scariness, talk to real people that are doing it. Real people on the ground. That's why I have the Move Overseas Now Club, and I have a course which you can get connected to a lot of different people, and I'm gonna have all the processes laid out. There's actually a wait list for it right now. And that's coming out in the fall 2023. And so, but it's really getting networking on the ground people. And that's kind of why I started Overseas Now, so people can get in touch with people on the ground. You can get in touch with me in the Move Overseas Now Club and the WhatsApp. Like there's all these people that are moving abroad, so you're not alone. And people come in and out based on like one guy, he just got approved for his Portugal D7 visa, and being in the group.
Oh, that's great.
We helped him because we were chatting. We come live on Zoom. We were like, oh, didn't you know you need the long form birth certificate? And like sometimes like he had that. If we didn't tell him, like how would he have known? He would have had to pay for a lawyer. But yeah, it's just all about your connections and really getting the on the ground people, joining Facebook groups in the country you want to go to, start asking questions. What's the real scoop? Like if you're feared.
But I think
what are your fears?
I think what's interesting is what are your fears? I think what's interesting is that even though you're not afraid, and even though you just decide to do it, what I learned from your story is that you're still going to have challenges that you're going to face.
Yes.
Even if you finally decide to go, you travel, you go abroad, you have to understand that there's going to be challenges and you have to be able to meet those challenges, right? Correct?
Yes. But also, whatever
Okay.
those biggest fears are that are holding you back, finding a
Yeah.
way, what can I do about it? And I'm reading this book. It's by
Okay.
Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and
Uh-huh.
Living. And he says,
Right.
identify the problem, which is true, because that's what I'm telling everybody to do. Go into the Facebook group, put the problem in the Facebook group,
Mhm.
clear up the problem. So what am I worrying about is question number one. And you can journal about this.
Mhm.
Question number two, what can I do about it? Question number three,
Mhm.
here's what I'm going to do about it. And question number four, when am I going to start doing it? So you got the problem, you're worried about the yellow fever. Oh my God, I'm gonna get a bug. You know, you remember Greg, he told us he got yellow fever in Delhi
Yeah.
20 years ago. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's in the back of my head. Like,
Of course.
so I knew all that. I was worried about getting sick, getting some crazy illness that I was gonna die from coming to India. What can I do about it?
Right.
Well, I started asking people, hey, in Goa, like, do they have that? Is there dengue? Is there malaria? Like, all the people
Mhm.
I talked to, they're
Mhm.
like, you're gonna be fine. Not much malaria here. All the articles I looked at. So I started researching to shift the doubts. Here's what I'm going to do about it. I took a decision to not get all those crazy vaccines that it told you to get for India, but it's not required because based on Goa, this area, you don't need those. And unless I was going to like plan
Okay.
on living in Delhi where they have the stagnant water and lots of malaria and potentially Kathmandu too has dengue. So we just made sure to like, we have the spray. We're using this when we go outside.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do about it. And then when am I going to start doing it? I booked my flight. Like once you book the flight, you're doing it. And then you just start making a list of everything you need to get done. Put your place
Okay.
up for rent,
You're kind of
start cleaning.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think your video is choppy. I'm trying to get it. I think you're having technical difficulties here.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
You heard me
All
okay?
right. That's okay. I heard you fine. Your video was really, really not good, but that's okay. All right. So, all right. So if we were to like kind of wrap this up,
Yeah.
um, what would be if you were to have to describe this whole trip in like a word or a sentence? How would you, if you can think of something like a phrase,
Yeah.
what would that word be?
I would say like facing your fears. And that's really what
Okay.
all of us are get to do when we move abroad or travel is you get to face your fears because we are scared to do things by ourselves. I was scared that I was going to have asthma or like a panic attack or
Mm-hmm.
like so look, think
Mm-hmm.
about oxygen. I was like so scared about like so many things and none of those things happened. So just facing the fears and living life like I've never felt comfortable going hiking in the wilderness and staying in the wilderness with no service. So, but that's the same for like who feels comfortable moving to Spain by themselves and leaving all of their family and friends when they're 35 or older and everybody's judging them and thinking they're crazy and you know, you're going to have to break through those fears and that's why I would recommend getting into the Move Overseas Now course. It'll save you
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of hours. And I've been doing this for like 7 to 8 years living abroad. And I'm basically putting everything I know about all the visas, about all the processes, packing lists, the checklists, everything for you guys, stories from people's visa routes, stories from what's working with remote work, how you guys can get remote jobs, how you can qualify for different things. I would just get into that because time is everything. And like, if you have to spend, and I say this for my web design, I'm putting the link so you guys can join the wait list for my web design agency that I have as well. Okay, would you tell a business owner to make their own website, have to learn code, have to learn how to do design, waste multiple months of their life and time learning how to build a website? Or would you hire somebody to do it for you in like a fraction of the time? So it's basically the same thing. I'm delivering you the information that you don't have to go and research, and providing you obviously the links and everything. So everything's there. So I would just get into the Move Overseas Now course. It's awesome. People are already talking about it. So I'm going to put the link in the description.
Great idea.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it. It's
I love
50 plus different countries.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, Shawna, I have to say, this has been quite the adventure for me, listening to your adventure.
Thank you for listening.
I've learned so much from this talk. I'm going to take a look at my fears and re-examine them. And I think that I have to do some self-talk. But I think that this course, but this has been great, Shawna. And we got to do it again sometime. Your next adventure. Let's do this again. Let's talk again.
Do it. And I hope to see you.
All right.
I'm coming to LA, so I'll see you in LA. And hopefully you guys can come with us on our next like journey to the next place when we go to Spain. You and Pam.
That'd be cool. Shawna.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Love you.
Shawna, thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Love you. Okay, bye.